In defense of Battlefield 5 rhetorical analysis. Upon Battlefield 5's release trailer, people were very confused, well, to say the least. You couldn't really tell from the trailer what really is you were looking at. Yes, you could see elements of World War II, but it's not very clear. The whole atmosphere, everything that they built was the developers, as in they. It was interesting. Coming from Battlefield 1, which was, well, very different. Kind of groundbreaking in a way. Having set itself in World War One, an era which is pretty much almost never covered except hardcore FPSs. But I don't know. I've tried to play those games, but they're just not as fun as what Battlefield did with it, and I don't know. I guess that's the type of person I am. Anyway, moving on. Most of the issues that people found within the trailer and subsequent game was political like statements to try to find fault with. Like they were trying to politicize the game, which could do that to any game. And of course, being a historical set game is historical accuracy. But this is just a game. Why does this matter? Shouldn't the measure, or shouldn't the review of a game be on gameplay, new features, or whether it's fun? You would think so. Why should we care about political opinions of game developers? There are many developers outside of Battlefield, or developers of Battlefield, that are very obnoxious politically on social media, or etc. But no one ever looks into them. So, logic states that as long as a game is well received or well liked, they really won't be questioned. As for the case of Battlefield 5, I could understand the portrayal of women. I mean, it's natural. People try and be progressive, but you can't. I don't know. It's hard to be progressive in the past where people weren't progressive. It's very difficult to do that. So, as for historical accuracy, like I've stated before in more interesting World War I FPSs, like Beyond the Wire or Verdun or Tannenberg, yes, historical accuracy is essential for those games, but it could also get in the way. At the end, you're trying to play a game after all. And yes, there are some people that would prefer to slog through the mud and get shot by some person you could barely see on your screen. And for others, I don't know. Point is, it should be a fine balance of gameplay and setting, just enough to be immersed and have fun. Now, what happened to Battlefield 5 is, of course, presentation. I feel like Battlefield 5 would have been much more well received than Battlefield. Well, it would have been as on par with Battlefield 1 in terms of likability if they just did it properly. If they just explained a few things. Now, one could argue you should change the trailer for Battlefield 5, but you could also argue that you're showing off multiplayer. And once you disconnect multiplayer from the story, then you're pretty much free to do whatever you want, as long as it makes some sense. Although this is more of an extreme case. Now, this is what Battlefield 5 could have been, or what the developers were trying to do. What I think, or what they were more or less trying to do, was show different a different face to what people would have always done in World War II games, i.e., like in the early Call of Duties and early Battlefield games, where it's just American campaigns against the Germans, etc., etc. You never really see any other fronts. So, what DICE could have capitalized upon is trying to tell stories of people who fought in the war in different lights, and subsequently, that's what made them disliked. Now, here's some of my ideas what they could have done for story campaigns, or just ideas in general. Of course, the Soviets, they were communist. They didn't really care who fought, as long as you fought. I mean, you can't fight their logic in a way. They could have done a Polish campaign, because the Polish are almost never really talked about. Also, Yugoslavia, I mean, they could have done something with that. Partisan missions, I don't know. There's a lot of potential in a lot of areas of the world. It's not just Europe. Well, this has been my presentation. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.